Conversations. I am Megan Dawson, your host, coming to you from the safety of my own kitchen. And I am here with a very special guest. I have Eric Gabrynowicz, who is the executive chef from Tupelo Honey, which is at the Star here in Frisco. Although he is coming to us from where, Eric?
Asheville, North Carolina.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for
you're
coming
welcome.
And just chatting with us. I explained to you before the show, my main point here is just to introduce our community to the people behind the restaurants and also show off a little bit of the food. So in a little bit, about 10 minutes, you're gonna hear my kitchen, whatever, timer go off, and I'm gonna be pulling out a Tupelo Honey meal that I can't wait to share with you all. We'll talk a little bit about the special that it is kind of attached to, and I will tell you, we had it for dinner last night, and everyone devoured it. Everyone.
Very cool.
And
Very cool.
I have some picky eaters in my house, and they love it.
Oh, wow.
We'll talk about that once that little timer goes off. I wish that I could have everybody smell it because it smells amazing, but we'll just have to settle for the magic of television when I show you. All right. So, Eric, tell me a little bit about Tupelo Honey. We'll start with that,
Sure.
and then we're going to talk about your history because you've got kind of a great pedigree here in the kitchen. But let's talk Tupelo Honey first.
Tupelo Honey is one of my favorite restaurants in the world. And it started in Asheville, North Carolina in 2001. Our current ownership took over in 2008. It was just one restaurant, and we have since grown very strategically from the Southeast and out as far as Texas. Frisco was our 15th restaurant that we opened.
Are we the only one in Texas? Because we like to be pretty exclusive here in Frisco.
Right now, you're the only one in Texas, and I see that as staying that way for a little while. We actually have our eyes set on Texas for some additional locations.
Well, I mean,
love
we
Texas.
do love our southern food here.
Yeah.
So it makes sense, but I selfishly want you to stay here in Frisco and nowhere else. But that's okay. Go ahead. Doesn't make sense.
You all have been incredibly loyal since we opened. I spent a good amount of time in Frisco in the last, I guess, 18 months after opening, and the response has been incredible.
So we know you love Frisco. Everybody loves Frisco.
I do.
Yes. Now tell me though a little bit about the Tupelo style because you have a very distinct cuisine.
Sure.
And it's unique and delicious. But tell me a little bit about the inspiration.
So the Tupelo inspiration is Southern food based out of Appalachia, right? So Southern food can take on so many different meanings, from Creole to Texas barbecue to whatever. So we are rooted in the Appalachian Mountains, so we take from there. But we take a little bit of poetic license with playing with different cuisines from the South, and also different cuisines from all over the world, and then just bringing little bits of Southernness into them. We say as long as one ingredient is rooted in Southern cuisine, one technique is rooted in Southern cuisine, then we can be playful and we can win the guest over with different things,
Now tell me a bit now about your history, because you are not a Southern boy born and bred. You have some interesting roots, but you also have incredible culinary pedigree. So walk me through that.
So I was born in Queens, New York. I know that screams Southern to everybody.
I know. I can't think of anything more Southern than that.
Right. But I grew up loving food and being obsessed with all different kinds of cuisine. My grandparents are from Italy. So I grew up 7-hour meals on Sunday, just really being galvanized by all different kinds of food, and especially what emotions were sparked by food. And I, at about 20, I think I was 20 years old, when I graduated culinary school, and I went to work for Danny Meyer in a restaurant called Blue Smoke. And Blue Smoke was one of the first urban barbecue restaurants in the country. And it was then that I kind of understood how passionate Southerners were about their barbecue and how passionate they were about their food. Yeah, so it was there where it wasn't just a barbecue restaurant, as we might know some down here. It was a very much full-service dining. So they basically took portions of the menu that revolved around Creole cooking, revolved around Appalachian cooking, revolved around different cuisines. And it was so invigorating to learn about the food effects and the comfort and like the hominess and what it does to people. As far as, making their moods better, and food is healing. And I never seen that before more so than I did in Southern food in that restaurant. So I kind of always had this like special place in my heart about learning how to cook Southern food. I always continued that in that education, and it found me in Asheville, North Carolina, and Frisco, Texas.
Tell me a little bit about the different things you've done in the quarantine. I know you've done both food offerings, but you're also got some charitable things going on, trying to take care of your people.
Sure.
I'd love for you to share that.
Yeah, absolutely. It's super important, even in the toughest times, to try to be innovative, and also to try to understand what the guest is going through at this moment and how to help them get that comfort. And so a large part of our innovation and the things that we're bringing to the table have to do with family style offerings, right? The take and bake and that you have right in front of you that you hopefully didn't burn your hand on coming out of the oven.
No, I didn't. my trusty hot pot. No, it's fine. Go ahead.
And also just larger family style meals. The dining landscape is changing for restaurants, for the home cook, and the most important thing with change is to help people navigate and make new habits as easy as possible for them.
Absolutely.
And because in the long run, they're going to remember, if they got a meal at Tupelo Honey that gave them comfort, they're going to remember that. And when this whole world turns back around and we can go out again, maybe that's the first place you go to. That's not the only reason we're doing it. Obviously we want to bring good food and comfort to all of our people any chance we can get. But, there's a long-term vision of what we can do for the guest in the short term to make their lives easier.
Absolutely. And I think that's important. So I'll say it is definitely a changing landscape for home cooks in that I am home with my 3 kids all day, every day. And I think I cook 8,000 meals because I don't have the option of packing lunches, school lunch, that type of thing. And they're quarantined, so they're bored, so they eat all day. So the idea of, oh gosh, I don't have to worry about dinner tonight, it is handled, is more comforting than almost anything else you could do for me right now at a restaurant. But also, I think, especially and I'm going to kind of segue to these meals, this is a cost-effective deal for a family, because if you have, multiple children, you have a large family, these are uncertain times. Sometimes we're not sure how long, we're going to be getting a paycheck, what this looks like. Some of the meals out there are cost prohibitive. And so it's really smart, and it's so helpful to the community to be able to offer something. I'm just going to show you now. I don't want to burn my hands. So back to Don't Mess with Texas. Here we go. I know most cooks have matching mitts, not me. So this, look at that. This is the penne with meatballs. This is the BOGO take and bake meal option. So BOGO, we all love BOGO, buy one, get one. It's the best part. But this is a generous portion. This is more than my family of 5 can eat. It is something that I threw in the oven. We had it last night for family dinner. I just popped the other one in today. It is a meal and a half for us. So all 5 of us, plus my husband taking leftovers to work, me having leftovers for lunch, because we don't share with kids when it comes to leftovers.
Fair enough.
Yeah, they can eat crackers. But this is such a service to the community that goes above and beyond kind of the comfort level. And it's just saying, hey, you know what, we're going to meet you where you need to be. And yes, honestly, I will remember this, and I will go to Tupelo Honey afterwards, because I know that you took care of me when I needed it most. So kudos to that. But you're also taking care of your people too.
100%.
Tell me about, I know that, when this quarantine first hit, jobs were lost.
Correct. And it's unfortunate. There isn't a restaurant that was created for dine-in service that can immediately transition to take away without losing valuable people and hours. And it's so unfortunate that this is happening right now. But the only thing that we know how to do is to raise money for our people and try to make it as comforting for them as possible in the immediacy until we get our doors back open and get them back in, because that's the goal. And we want to do that as soon as possible. But we've never charged for, in most of our stores, we've never charged for biscuits. In certain locations we have, but we're basically going to put biscuits on the menu now in every location that we have at Tupelo Honey, and 100% of the proceeds goes directly into our employee relief fund. So in essence, we're still
delicious. So order
yeah.
the cause.
Thank you.
There you
So yeah, so we're not, bread service seems to be a little bit of a thing in the past in the dining arena, but we can't go without our biscuits, and it's such a part of who we are. So 100% of the proceeds from our biscuits are going to our employee relief fund. So far in the last 3 weeks, we've raised $45,000 for our employees. We're in the process of. Thank you. We're in the process of becoming a 501c3 for them, just to make it as easy as possible. And we want to get money in their hands. Our employees are our lifeline. They're our friends and they're our coworkers, and everyone is struggling right now. And we want to make it as easy as possible to ease that burden. So
that's amazing. And then also, as someone who loves to go to restaurants and see the same faces over and over again, because it just provides consistency, that also allows you to continue. Once you can open your doors again, we can walk in and see the same faces that we saw before, and we'll feel comforted once again by that consistency. Now, God willing, let's cross our fingers. All toes, everything's crossed. Hopefully, sometime soon, we will open our doors again. Do you anticipate for Tupelo Honey changes in service that is just a result of the quarantine? I mean, I think everybody is expecting things to kind of change a little bit. What will you take away? What is the importance here that you've learned that you can transition into the future?
So I think it's understanding how the needs of the guests and how the needs of our guests will change, right? They changed immediately when we went to a stay-home order, and that's how we came with Take and Bakes, and that's how we have different programs that we're working through. They're going to change again. And I think just being nimble and staying on top of it and understanding that, maybe there are guests that won't feel comfortable dining in our dining room just yet. So let's commit to keeping up with the to-go and the curbside and all the options to make their lives good while we're welcoming back the guests that do feel safe. And we have countless hours, tremendous amounts of meetings and brainstorming to figure out when it's safe for our employees and when it's safe for our guests to come back. How do we make them all feel good in the moment?
Right.
And I think, the value proposition is going to change when we're all back in the restaurants because of the effect that this had on us all financially. And, we're going to do what's best for our guests no matter what. We always have, we always will. And just the understanding that we don't know yet, that's important.
Right.
The understanding that we have to be nimble and we have to be versatile, because we might not know what our guests are going to need 3 weeks from now because we've never seen this before. And just to stay on top of it and stay honoring what their needs will be.
Well, I mean, truthfully, as just someone who loves my local Tupelo Honey here in Frisco, I love that. I think what we're seeing across the board, this isn't speaking to one specific restaurant in one specific geographic area, because we're all really in this together. Everybody's going through it. Is that the restaurants that are able to stay nimble, that can innovate, and truthfully, almost on a dime, it seems, they're the ones that people are connecting with. And I think you've done a tremendous job with that. I mean, I can't imagine as a home cook, the ability to transition from your typical dining style to then creating these recipes consistent across the board for Take and Bake. That's not an easy, I mean, people that don't cook probably don't recognize that there's a difference between this meal that I'm holding in front of me and how this is created and prepared versus what you do in the restaurant. So that in itself was a huge innovation. I know that you have, French toast deals that are coming out, which I mean, who doesn't need some brunch during this time?
I'm saying.
Right?
I'm saying.
But truthfully, I think that it is the heart of the people that connect us to these restaurants. And you guys at Tupelo Honey, both corporately, you guys in North Carolina, and the Frisco team have just won our hearts. And
Thank
I'm
you.
so grateful that you're here. Before we go and we close out, tell me how people can help with your charitable causes, and tell me a little bit about the ordering process. I can talk through it, but I think it's probably better from you.
Sure. I think the ordering process, we have deals going on at all times. Like you got a BOGO take and bake this past weekend. Right now, currently, we have a BOGO, and I don't know the code, so I'm gonna have to get that to you.
I can find it.
We have a BOGO family style XL. So if you buy a meal for 4 that's hot and ready now, you get a take and bake for later in the week. I will be doing that tonight for my family. And yeah, our Frisco team is one of the best teams that we have in the entire company. Peter Rooks is the executive chef and is honestly my go-to for anything I need. This take and bake process, like you said, that transition from fine dining, casual dining to how is this going to be good for a family 4 days from now, from their fridge to the oven, and win them over in that regard. Peter Rooks has helped through that whole process. He's brilliant. If you get a chance to go by and say hello, please do.
I will, for sure.
He's awesome. Peter's the chef. Spencer's the general manager. They're two of the brightest stars that we have in our company. And really, they make that Frisco location in the stars sing.
We talked through how to order. I'll tell you, ordering this was so seamless. Like you said, this Frisco team has it down pat, because I, forgot my pickup time and showed up an hour late. Didn't seem to bother them at all. I was embarrassed. I pulled up and they were out at my car before I had time to call. They were looking out for me. I told them that I was driving the very dirty beige SUV. They figured which one that was. And they got it. It was so seamless. So we know the ordering is seamless. The charitable donations, they can add biscuits.
Sure. If you come to our restaurants or you order online and you add biscuits, know that 100% of that will go toward our employee relief fund, and will help support our employees in the meantime until we can get them back to work and running our restaurants the way they want to and deserve to. They're awesome. You feel free to donate any amount of money to that as well. Our store teams can help you with that. But if I could just leave you with an overall restaurant industry word of love, the restaurant industry is so giving. Tupelo Honey, but all of them, they've always been. Every time there's a raffle at your local school or anything of that sort, they're always the first ones to be there with food or a gift certificate. Your support to any restaurant, not just Tupelo Honey, is amazing and is what's keeping them open and able to reopen. And in this changing landscape, I'd just say, if you have the means and you can afford it, all you can do to go out and eat and get takeout and make that your new normal right now is helping the restaurant business more than any of you could ever imagine. If we didn't have the takeout revenue we had, we would not have a company right now. And I know a lot of independent restaurants feel the same way. So please support them, give grace, and just, enjoy the comfort that they're providing at this horribly weird time.
My heart is for the local restaurants, because this is where we go, like you said. I mean, if we need something for PTA, if we need something for a soccer team, where do we turn? And restaurants, like you said, they do not turn you away. They don't say no. They have big hearts. The people that work at these restaurants are our neighbors. They are our neighbors. They're our friends. And it is our turn to give back and support them. And I mean, truthfully, take a load off yourself and get a nice takeout meal. It will all come full circle, because what we really want is to preserve that way of life for both the restaurants, but also for ourselves. Because if we come out of this and we don't have our favorite local spots, we're gonna regret it. So now is the time to support local. Buy some biscuits, y'all.
Yeah, buy them biscuits.
Buy them biscuits, because you're not gonna be disappointed. I can promise you that. Eric, thank you so much for joining me. I know our viewers might not see this, but poor Eric has had technical difficulties. We've had Wi-Fi issues, and he has been a superstar champ to hang in there with me, to let me make this meal. Once again, I'm just saying, order it.
Been my absolute pleasure.
Yes, it's my pleasure as well. Thank you so much for your time. And go to Tupelo Honey, y'all. Get some take and bake. Thank you
Go
so
Frisco!
much. Yes.